Hey, Street Fight listeners, how you doing? Guys, gals, non-binary pals, that's right. It's Sunday night. It's time for a street fight. We're here live on twitch.tv/Street Fight Radio, where you can jump in, join the conversation, talk to people, get emojis, do all that fun stuff. We are taking calls tonight, as usual. Number to dial is 614-655-3887. And we want to hear from you. What's going on in your world? How's the new year been? What's going on at work or school? Let us know what's up. We're here to talk. For the next 2 hours, we'll be taking your calls. My name is Brett Payne. My co-host is Brian Quinby. We've been doing this for 10 years now out of Columbus, Ohio on WCRS FM LP 92.7 or 98.3. If you're inside 270 here in Columbus, Ohio, that's the outer belt. If you don't know what that means because you're not from here. If you want more of what we have to offer, head over to patreon.com/streetfightradio, where you get access to years of bonus content. For $5 a month, get you access to 3 volumes of Shocktober, 100 Million Tons of Steel, Kid Rock podcast, so many million amazing things. And now the I'm Sorry podcast that Brian just did with Josiah from the Hell World and Blink 155 podcast. It was really funny. I listened to it this week. So you're going to want to get in there and listen to I'm Sorry.
How'd you feel about Milli Vanilli?
I remember at the time it seeming like a big scandal. It did like kind of take over a lot of stuff.
I know. I want to know what was going on.
Yeah, what were they covering up?
There had to be something, dude. Do you remember? It was like, this is so weird. It's really fun to tell young people this stuff because we're old, and we remember when one news story would last 7 days, and like,
yeah, I mean, people would go to work or they would ride the bus and they would argue with someone about it all day on Monday and then refresh their argument and come back on Tuesday and do it the whole week long.
Yeah, we would just, there would be like one news story going on and we'd all fucking be talking about it forever.
Yeah.
And then Milli Vanilli, like, I was legit pissed off at them in 1990. I don't know why now. In 2022, I'm looking back at 1990, Brian. First of all, I was 11 years old, but I was so mad. And 11 years old is before you even know the concept of selling out or an industry plan or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was all of 6 years old and I was like taking my hat and throwing it on the ground and being like, have some goddamn integrity, okay? You're in a lucky goddamn position. You need to earn your place. You need to be able to sing, goddamn it. Yeah. But I loved Milli Vanilli. I loved them before that. I mean, I loved the song and they were cool. I mean, they're the type of guys that, you know, I aspire to be.
I think you could do it now. I think it's fair that somebody should just fucking do it again. Or maybe even better way to talk about it is that somebody probably has done it. You know what I mean? Like, somebody could fucking be doing Milli Vanilli and learned everything they could from Milli Vanilli to not get caught being Milli Vanilli.
The Gorillaz.
You know what I mean?
Gorillaz did it.
Yeah, people did bring up Gorillaz. I think even Josiah brought up Gorillaz, and it's like,
really?
that's kind of the same thing, though, right? Although Gorillaz, okay, I can make this case that Gorillaz is actually wrong if Milli Vanilli's wrong. I'm going to do it real quick here. I got one for you. So Gorillaz is the cartoon character, right? Mm-hmm. Like the cartoon characters on the screen are gorillas. Well, those cartoon characters are not singing.
Okay.
It's a guy that's singing.
Uh-huh.
So in order for them to be, if they want a Grammy, it would have to be the cartoon singing or the guy winning the Grammy, because the have to be singing because that's the law with Milli Vanilli. And they made those dudes give their fucking Grammys back. I think it's incredibly unfair. And I think we should also there's one guy left surviving from Milli Vanilli. And I would love it if everybody would just be like, hey, give them their Grammy back. Give that dude his Grammy back and the other guy his posthumous Grammy back.
Yeah, but so the other thing is we they never really brought out the guy that really sang. Like, shouldn't they brought the real guy out so we could have been like, oh yeah, we love this guy's music. This is the guy we want to hear sing.
Oh, okay. Oprah interviewed him in 2018. I saw on the suggested stuff on YouTube when I was watching the apology of Milli Vanilli, and Oprah interviewed one of the guys that was Milli Vanilli's voice, and asked him. The funny thing is she asked him a crazy question. She's like, "Why didn't you tell on Milli Vanilli?" And it's like, "Cause I ain't no fucking snitch, dude. What the hell?
I was getting paid money to sing, and I don't have to go out and do all this." Yeah, it's not a bad spot. I mean, I think I think pretending that you can sing is kind of whack. And taking somebody's voice. But I think if you're upfront about it, like if somebody's like, I don't want to be a rock star, I can actually sing. I just want to sit on the couch though,
Yeah.
But these people are willing to go out there and dance and pretend like this is way, like it's something else. They take the vision and expand upon it.
Right. And you almost like, the only way you're allowed to be that guy that you're describing, the guy that's like, I can sing, I like singing, I want to sing, I don't want to perform it. The only way you can get away with doing that is if you performatively do it like what's her name? Sia, right? Doesn't she go on stage and make a big deal out of covering her face so people can't see what she looks like, and then does the songs? You have to perform I don't want to be a rock star in order to be that person.
You can't just get by on your voice.
Yeah because that happened with CNC Music Factory too. They were getting caught left and right back in the 90s.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one of those things where it's just more polite to just pretend like you didn't see it and just have fun at the concert. Just keep singing Blame It on the Rain. Now we don't get to listen to Blame It on the Rain anymore because it's been X out of history, like it's some sort of steroids win or something. But that song should still be on rotation.
I actually feel like I said this on the bonus show too. I've been to a lot of concerts. I have been to iconic concerts that people talk about. You know what I mean? Like Woodstock 99, and I went to that Family Values tour, and I went to a Ozfest where there was a riot and all that. I've been to these concerts, right? I think the one I wish I would have been at was that concert where their tape messed up and skipped back and they had to stand on stage and pretend like they were singing. It's the same thing with Ashley Simpson on SNL. I really wish I was there for when Ashley Simpson was on SNL and got caught lip syncing and everybody got mad at her.
And it is hard to explain also the analog days, because this was at a time, there's probably someone that stood up and was like, now what in the Sam Hill is going on right now? Oh, we demand answers. We paid good money for these tickets.
Yeah. Before the internet, if the internet had been around then, it would have been on Twitter in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And people would have been on both sides of the argument. Yeah. But that's something I was thinking about all week last week was they talk about cancel culture now. People are getting canceled all the time now or whatever. And back then, we couldn't cancel people couldn't cancel somebody right back then. You had to have a job on the radio or in the news, and you actually had to be really popular too. You couldn't just be a radio guy and be this person won't get the vaccine, he's a piece of shit. You couldn't even do that. You had to be a popular radio guy. And
or you had to have people actually be willing to boycott you. You had to have actually people go in the streets and weird Christian people burn your records or something.
Yeah, but now it is it's not just a small group of gatekeepers doing the canceling. You know what I'm saying? Now it's not it's not ABC, CBS, Fox, and CNN or whatever. They're not in the radio shows. Like, they aren't in control of it now. And they see it as a social media mob. But like, they were canceling people a lot. Like, growing up, you think about the people that got canceled when you were growing up. Think about, he didn't get canceled, but in the traditional term of what they call canceled, Hugh Grant was canceled for a period and had to go on TV and apologize for going to a sex worker.
Yeah.
That's literally all he did. That's it.
Right.
Winona Ryder had to publicly apologize at a press conference for shoplifting. And
yeah,
they're yelling at us about cancel culture.
Pee Wee Herman.
Yes, he didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, you shouldn't jerk off in public. You know what? I'm going to walk that back just a touch. He didn't do nothing wrong, because I don't think you should jerk off in public. But
I think that's why people are there. You know, I wouldn't go to that place and not expect to see that.
That's what I'm saying. I feel
it's a set and setting thing.
But it's a one place. That's like, it's such a rare thing for there to be a place where you're allowed to jerk off in public. But and that's
he was at the one.
Yeah.
He was at the one.
Yeah. And they fucking raked him across the coals. That guy didn't work for like 5 or 6 years.
Forever.
Dude.
I don't think ever. When did he come back?
Blow. He was in Blow. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
In Blow, and that was like the beginning of people being like, Pee Wee Herman didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
That took a long fucking time, though. That was like probably almost a decade before Blow, between getting caught jerking off and Blow. They took his fucking TV show away.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, those kids, he wasn't jerking off on the TV show.
Right. Yeah.
Kids,
Like you can't be around kids and sexual.
If your kids caught Pee Wee Herman jerking off at the porno theater, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. That's negligence on your behalf.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they yell at us because we're like, well, Joe Rogan has millions of fucking listeners, and he's telling them not to get the vaccine, which is like detrimental to public health. And they're like, why are you canceling this man? It's like, what the fuck, man?
Right.
You were canceling everybody. It was so fun to cancel people back in the day. You were just having the time of your fucking life. But now that we can cancel you, it's a fucking problem.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
I love it. I think it's the I'm sorry thing is really blowing my mind, because there was a mayor, I think, in New Jersey that had to just apologize. He said, I'm a gay American. Like, he apologized for being gay.
Oh, McGreevy?
Yeah. He apologized just for, like, he was just gay. They were cheating on his wife, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like tshirthell.com came out with like a really homophobic shirt like the day after that fucking happened.
Oh yeah. They were brutal. Actually, T-Shirt Hell had the first 9/11 joke T-shirt.
Yeah.
That I ever saw.
Hot off the presses.
It was the I Heart New York, but instead of a heart, it was an airplane. And like, I might have canceled T-Shirt Hell back then. I got kind of mad about that. Like, I remember
really, you were offended?
And be like, yeah. I just was like, I can't believe somebody would make this. 3,000 people died in that, you know, and just really mad about it. But it is now I'm like, it's a very funny shirt, and it's very funny that they put it out in like 2003.
Yeah, I mean, that's really aggressive.
But they were really going for it. If you wore them my buddy, a friend of ours, wore a bunch of T-Shirt Hell T-shirts. And it's just like, I might have bought one. I had one, but it was
soft
fucking
one.
Oh, it was the softest boy T-shirt of all time from T-shirt. It's embarrassing for me to tell you which T-Shirt Hell T-shirt I had. It was a picture of George W. Bush, and it said, "Not my president."
Oh, well, that's all right.
I mean, it's good politics.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to the offensive T-shirt website,
right,
and that's what you come out with,
it's kind of a "Let's go, Brandon" of the time.
Let's go, Brandon. That Kid Rock song was pretty good. You've been thinking about that?
No,
later?
I listened to Nobody Gonna Tell Me How to Live more. The new one is just too hateful.
I just love monster trucks so
I do
much.
too. He
you
adds a
know?
lot.
I mean, he's a coward or whatever. I don't respect him. Like I don't respect Monster Truck, but I like kind of think that he's like it's kind of like his voice really worked for the Kid Rock song.
I
So
mean, yeah, it's just great timbre and tone, and it's just like cracks through the air like a bolt of lightning.
right, it's the funny voice. He was doing the funny radio voice or the funny like butt rock voice, and I think that's what excited everybody about it. I think Kid Rock thought it was the right wing message that
Uh-huh.
got people really excited and wanting to listen to it, but it was really just Monster Truck's voice. That was it. And the fact that his name was Monster Truck.
Yeah, we love that. We still love that.
Hey, you know what, man? I love the name Monster Truck.
It's a really good choice, really strong choice. I love them.
Actually,
I've already looked into some local ones because that Monster Jam takes place at arenas and it's really getting up there. So I started looking into like county fair monster trucks.
it's also sports, you know? Like they treat it, I want to see monster trucks doing monster truck like fucking exhibitions. I
Uh-huh.
don't want my monster truck to be sports. You know what I'm saying? Like I want Truckosaurus to be there. And like it's the same thing with UFC, although I still think UFC is good, but in the like really early days of UFC, it was really hard not to watch it. You know what I mean? Because you would just get so excited because you felt like there weren't any rules and it was kind of grimy and kind of dirty.
Yeah.
And like the guys all looked wildly different and
Yeah.
shit like that. And
They'd let some karate guy come and get his fucking femur broke out there by some other very dangerous person.
But monster trucks now are really just like a sport. Like they have like a track and they have to meet a certain time. And sure, they look cool because they're fucking monster trucks. But like there was a time when a monster truck show wasn't like a sport, where it was like an exhibition of just being like, check out this cool shit this monster truck can do and how many cars it can smash.
Yeah, but Monster Jam has evolved the level of tricks that they can do. I mean, the competition level has pushed their like front flips and back flips and like beyond anything that's
flip.
Yeah, they do flips now.
No fucking, I've never seen a monster truck do a
Yeah,
flip. That is
yeah.
the tightest shit of all time.
And also they make them like, I kind of like it. They make the drivers get out and jump on ATVs and do like a little ATV race, or as well. Because you have to be like multifaceted driver. You got to be like a redneck extraordinaire. You got to be able to jump on a little dirt bike. You got to be able to jump on an ATV, and you got to be able to drive a goddamn monster truck. Make it do a flip.
Wait, so I need to ask you how this works. So you do the monster truck thing, right? And then when you're done, they will be like, okay, now you got to race on this quad next to a monster truck.
No. Everybody's on quads together.
Okay. So that is like, you really do got to be like the top redneck in town to win Monster Jam. Now I kind of appreciate it.
Well, yeah, they have celebrities now. I mean, they're in an actual league, so it's the same drivers every time competing. It is more of a sport than just like maybe there's going to be a lot of carnage, or maybe something's going to fucking break or fly off,
Well, I mean, when you go to the local, have you ever been, I don't know if you've ever been to this, and if you're in a chat or on the phone, if you've ever been to one, let us know. Have you ever been to a demolition derby?
No, they still have them.
Things.
Yeah, I put them on my calendar last year and I didn't get around to it, but National Trail still does them. And they were doing like a Christmas demolition derby or something, fundraiser for like Toys for Tots. It was some crazy shit.
So I had no idea that I don't know how this happened in my life, but my stepmom, who I'm telling you, this is not an exaggeration, they don't have friends. I said this on the show last week when we were talking about the cruise. My parents don't have friends at all. Somehow had a friend when I was like 11 or something, and her husband was in demolition derbies. So we got to go and then also hang out with the drivers and then watch the demolition derby. And truthfully, I felt like royalty being in the like pit for
Oh yeah, the
demolition
paddock.
derby. Yeah, yeah. Just being in there, I felt like a king. And it is a crazy thing to see in person. Obviously, the cars don't get up to a speed that you think you want them to get up to hit people, but also
You wouldn't
like,
want to see someone run into each other at that fast. I mean, it makes your stomach turn when you see some of that shit happening.
yeah, I don't want to see somebody die. You're right. You're totally right about that. But at the time I was like, I wish they would go a little faster.
Sure.
You know, I was a kid.
A little more oomph.
It's actually funny. One of our friends, we had to do our Christmas celebration last night because everybody got COVID.
Christmas too.
Christmas too. And some of our we went to one of our friends' house, and we are just kind of talking about what's going on and stuff. And I was like, I'm gonna go see Jackass this week because it comes out, and I love Jackass. And one of our friends was like, I can't stand to see people get hurt. And I'm like, man, that would like cut out 95% of everything that I watch.
Yeah.
I love seeing people get hurt.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see how they take it. It makes you glad it isn't you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like being the guy that doesn't get hurt. Super Deformed said tractor pools are fun. I went to one in my life. I am a big fan of noise. So obviously I'm going to like the tractor pools because it is the loudest shit I ever been at in my life. But really I didn't like the part where they were pulling the tractor, the thing, like, cause I couldn't figure out what it was. I didn't quite understand it. And really all we did was yell because we were very young kids. We were yelling curse words when it was so loud that nobody else could hear us. And that was like the big fun thing.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah. But the one I went to had a motorcycle demolition derby. And that was like, I mean, it's etched in my mind my whole life. Was just that like guys were running into each other on motorcycles and they would hit each other, and then one of them would jump off and they'd roll around in the dirt a little bit. Like they would get into a fight, but it wouldn't be like a crazy slobber knocker fight. I think they were just like kind of putting on a show for the audience. Now that I think about it,
for sure.
Just like, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how it's done here. Oh yeah, I'm so mad about this, and then beats up the other guy, and you're like, oh, that was fucking great. But it was cool. I loved it. The thing my dream is now, I like my dream event to go see now is absolutely figure 8 bus races.
Okay.
Where they use buses and then they attach a boat to the back of it, and the goal is to knock the boat, be the last bus with a part of a boat on the back of your bus.
Yeah, I wish there was like figure 8 bus rates finder.com or something.
You should be able to find it anywhere.
Toledo, Night of Destruction.
What? There is in Toledo?
Night of Destruction. Oh, this is an old one. Never mind.
I was gonna say, I might move to Toledo if that's the kind of stuff they got going on there. Much better than Columbus.
The Night of Destruction. Oh no, they did it in the 20. Yeah, they did it in 2020.
All right, Night of Destruction. We got to find Night of Destruction.
I'm gonna. I'll put it on my radar. Yeah, I love the smell of fucking gasoline so much and burnt tires. It's one of the best smells.
Mm-hmm. I've only been to the one thing. I've been to truck pools. I've been to a demolition derby. I've never been to a race. I'm interested a little bit. I mean,
and what?
A race, but I don't know what I'm into. I think the thing I like and would enjoy seeing is trucks, because I'm a big boy who likes his trucks.
Okay.
Would see truck races. Like I'd be way into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty relaxed thing. It's not very exciting. I mean, in person, like at Mid-Ohio, they just have like a pair of turns that most people end up just like, you just plop down a chair and you sit outside and just watch them all day. There's like a big ass TV so you can see what's happening at the rest of the track. But the Indy 500 is like is probably the best race in the country for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of Indy 500 type shit in my time.
But yeah, the ovals make sense. I get like people make fun of American ovals, but as a spectator, it is much nicer when you can just see where everybody's at. Let's go down to Kentucky. They do dirt track racing near Tom. We could definitely go to a dirt track race with Tom.
Okay, yeah,
I've looked them up.
Dirt track racing.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
way
that sounds
fun.
up my alley.
It's tiny. There's lots of rubbing. They go fast as fuck. They go end over end. It's fun.
Nice. Yeah, I'd love to try it. Do we got any calls?
Yeah, we got quite a few.
I am going to run and get my weed so you can answer a call. I'll be right
Okay.
back. It's in just the room next to me.
That's fine. All right, let's see who we got here. Oh, I believe I know. Yep, I know who we got here. Ben from Starbucks. How's it going, Ben?
Hey, how's it going? Pretty good. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Thanks for calling
Can you
in.
hear me?
You live at Starbucks, Ben?
Yeah. Yeah, this is Starbucks. I'm calling to talk about the union because my store just went public with our union.
Where are you at? Part of the country. I mean, you don't
I'm
have to tell me
Ithaca.
exactly which Starbucks you're at.
Okay.
What was that?
It's all over the internet now, so it doesn't really matter. But we're actually in Ithaca. We're kind of close to Buffalo. We're kind of like right above the
Nice.
border of Pennsylvania. Yeah. We just went public with our union about like 5 days ago, right in the midst of everybody else announcing. And it's been exciting. It's been a lot. Yeah.
How's it going?
I don't know if
Like,
you guys
what's been the reaction with bosses?
It's been pretty interesting. The day after we announced that we were starting a union, like 3 or 4 different corporate bosses we've never met came to our store, tried to start fixing everything that we've been begging them to fix for months, and just being overly nice to us, wearing pride shirts.
Oh, what? So like they started cleaning out. They started fixing the freezers that doesn't work anymore and taping shit up, getting fans, all that.
Yeah, they actually. On Friday when I was working, they had people come in and they tried to fix our grease trap. They sealed it so it didn't smell. They took out our like hot water heater that had a hole in it that we've put like 7 tickets in over 2 years, and it all happened in the middle of the day when we were super busy. So it was under the guise of helping, but what they really did was just kind of made a mess of the whole store and left it for us. And it just kind of fucked everything up for us. But everything's getting fixed.
Really? I mean, it's interesting though. You're in the same part of the country as the few successful Starbucks union drives, and that is not how they dealt with those. That's not how they dealt with the Buffalo people, right? Like they were actually brought people in and did threats instead of trying to treat them nice. So it seems like they learned from their mistake and now they're going to try to do it nice.
Well, it's kind of the same. They started the same way up there. Some of the Buffalo people that are working at the first store that unionized Elmwood actually helped us put together ours. They're still helping us. And that's kind of how they started up there, but it was a bigger effort because they were the first ones. So they brought in all the executive vice presidents and stuff, like Ross Ann Williams. You might have seen the picture of her sweeping in their store. They started the same way, just coming in and fixing everything and getting in the way. I read that she actually came and filled all the wrong cups in the store, and they pushed back drive time in a store back to like insane levels of slowness. But when they reached election, they kind of like doubled down and kind of tried to fight it. They're not allowed to ask you not to vote or anything, but they started sending out emails saying that they want you to vote no. And twisting words and telling lies about Starbucks, like that you wouldn't be able to transfer to a different store if you unionized, which isn't true. You would be able to, you just wouldn't be able to be in the union anymore. And they would tell them stuff like that they wouldn't be able to have executives and managers come and jump on the floor to help because they weren't part of the union, which 100% isn't true, because it'd be all up to what you'd sign in your contract. And I don't think a single barista would put that they didn't want extra help in their contract.
Yeah, what executive is like coming in? Oh shit, I was gonna just do a shift real quick to help y'all out on me, but I can't because you're in their special little club. You know, we can't be friends now.
Yeah. We actually,
What a piece of shit.
one of the people just came into our store. Sorry about that. What's up?
No, it's also interesting to say like you couldn't transfer stores, because in all honesty, if I am somebody who's paying attention to this closely, that feels like intimidation. Like it feels like it would be against the NLRB, because it just sounds like it sounds like they're saying if you try to start a union, none of the other Starbucks are gonna want to hire you. Like that's a really weird like way to say it.
It's definitely intimidation. They actually filed a lawsuit against Starbucks. Workers United did in Buffalo because of those things. They haven't really started that here, but there's so many stores filing now that I think it would be kind of hard to concentrate that effort into single places. We're filing tomorrow, though. We just got 65% of the vote, which is what you need to actually have the NLRB allow you to do an election. And we did it in 3 stores in the town, including one that literally just opened a week ago. So they're really going to fucking hate us.
I mean, if I was a union buster asshole, I would hate you too. Just it would make me very mad. You would do something like that. Especially imagine you're the general manager of that store that just opened up last week and you're already facing a union drive. That kicks ass.
It's even worse is that
man, it does sound
what's up?
No, it sounds like a weird like being nice, intimidating you, but also trying to be nice. You understand? Do you get what I'm saying? Like where it's like they're trying to make it sound like they're being nice, but they're actually threatening you over and over again. Because that's the other thing. That's what, like Brett said, it does sound like they're saying we can't be friends no more if you start a union. Like you're not even allowed to look at the manager, talk to the manager. And you know what? The manager's not allowed to look at you and he's not allowed to talk to you. He's got to go right to the union bosses and then they tell you. It's fucked up and it sucks. And it's like, I mean, we kind of understand what a union is.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely feels like that. At our store, I just personally feel like pummeled by their niceness. On Friday, I came in and I'm like a shift supervisor, which is the person they make do all the managerial work without paying them a salary. But I immediately like got on bar because we were so busy, and they just had like 4 people I've never met come in and start talking to me, and I'm trying to make drinks and connect with customers, which is like what they want us to do most. And they're all just like asking me my name and asking me what I like about working at Starbucks and all of this stuff. And I'm sitting here literally trying to make 20 drinks by myself. And it just felt so intentional and pointed.
It's really cool though, watching all of this sort of happen up there in New York, because I mean, it worked the first time with, I think it's 3 stores. Am I right about that? I don't know, but it worked at the beginning in Buffalo. If it works here, that's another time it works. And then you could see this moving not only to other Starbucks, but just like in the area other fast food or fast casual places. Like once people see success, it emboldens them to sort of move to the next thing. Is that kind of what happened with you? Like like you guys saw success in Buffalo and you were like, yeah, we're going to give this a shot now.
Yeah, it was definitely Buffalo that inspired us. It was just me and another person that started working here around October. So it was like 2 months after Buffalo announced. And I've always been like super like pro-union and really wanted to do this, but it just seemed very impossible at Starbucks just because of how often they have busted any sort of union effort. I mean, they even killed IWW's attempt. And, but like after Buffalo happened, it really activated everybody. And as soon as we started talking to people in other stores, it was the same way. I mean, I even went into Five Guys the other day with my shirt on, and like everybody in there started talking to me. So I'm hoping that it kind of spreads to other places because it's fucking brutal out there. I mean, you can't even go through a drive-through without waiting for 30 minutes, and I feel guilty even doing it.
Five Guys, I'm going to tell you something right now. Five Guys should unionize because it seems like the worst place to work for me, and I'll explain why. Anybody who's ever worked at a place that makes food, especially French fries and cheeseburgers, it's disgusting. Like it really was. McDonald's was one of the grossest jobs I ever had. And Five Guys is busy every fucking day.
And they're not like just straight up making fast food. They're making like restaurant quality food at Five Guys on fast food time schedules. Oh, yeah. So that place seems extra brutal.
Yeah, it does seem extra brutal to me. But I mean, Starbucks has been pretty brutal lately too. It's like you said about like the half-hour wait in the drive-through, where it's like every place I go by now, every Starbucks has a line all the way out to the street, and it's like I understand. Like you can understand the people inside the Starbucks are fucked because you know they don't have enough people working. Like, and it's because they won't pay people. Because I bet you if you guys unionize, they'll get a lot more applications at that specific Starbucks. Like, I think you'll start to find that people want to work at the unionized Starbucks or fast food places or fast casual places, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, no stores have had their contracts ratified or anything yet. I think the Buffalo stores were the only ones that have had any sort of elections. You know, Mesa, Arizona was the second place to announce that they were going to unionize, and I think they're having their election sometime either this month or next month. And once like these stores get to that point where we get to sign contracts and people see that it actually works, I'm really hoping that it makes people want to work at a unionized store, and it just makes people realize that you can work at a corporation if you have to. I mean, ideally you wouldn't have to, but if you did, and you don't have to just bend to their will, you don't have to base your livelihood around what they want you to do. Truthfully, I want to fucking crush them, but this is a good start.
Yeah.
I mean, it pisses them off. You're at least pissing them off.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there any way we can help? Is there any strike funds, or not a strike fund? Obviously, you're not on strike, but like, is it just basically up to the employees now? Let us know if there's somewhere we can go to help or somewhere we should look to help you guys out, and keep us posted on this.
There was a GoFundMe for the Buffalo workers when they were striking. I don't know if it's still open. It was for a little while after. I think it might have become some sort of protection fund, but mostly just go to SB Workers United on like Instagram and Twitter, retweet post everything. They have cool merch that's 100% union made. I know a lot of people have been ordering very cheap things to the store and tipping very high, or tipping whatever you can on the app, and just writing like "do not make" and union yes on their tickets. We got a lot of that at our stores. I know a big thing that really made us feel good was people were coming, leaving $20 tips, or just signing, or like telling us their name was Solidarity or Union Yes. And just that sort of support really kind of activates the workers. And especially right now when we are just trying to get the card signed, send word out to the NLRB so we can get these elections going. It's really nice to have that support because it counteracts what Starbucks is trying to tell us.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, good luck, Ben. Keep us posted.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Man, 10 years ago, 11 years ago when we started this show, I don't think I would have ever, if you had said Starbucks are going to start being unionized, I would have been like, what? No fucking way. You know, like it would have been impossible to believe.
Yeah, it seems, I mean, it just takes the effort. I hope it catches on.
It's kind of cool. Like, it's smart to do Starbucks in a way, because it's like, how many people work in a store? 20 or something? I actually don't know the numbers of how many people work in a store, but it seems like you could talk that many people into unionizing, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
They'll start hiring like Kid Rock guys that are like hate unions.
Yeah.
You go into Starbucks and it'll be like 65-year-old white guys.
Patriots, now hiring all patriots.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. Starbucks cares. We want to talk to our customers that turn their back. We want to ask you to try us again and help us grow and be better as a company by beating the shit out of these snowflakes and liberals that have taken over the company.
Yeah. I mean, they would say snowflakes because like nothing is more snowflake than like organizing against your boss. I guess.
Yeah.
You know. So who was it that said snowflakes? We were listening to something one time and they said, you know how snowflakes are, they melt under pressure. And it's like, no, that's like not how they melt.
Yeah. Who was that?
I don't remember, but it fucking ruled, man. Some dumb guy that just like the snowflakes, they melt under pressure. Oh, okay. Oh, I did go to the gym yesterday. Everybody.
Oh, really?
I did want to get that in here. Yeah, I'm a gym rat. You know,
I've
been once. I like getting a pump in.
I got to.
I didn't pump at all, actually. I was so intimidated by all the weights. I was terrified of them. They all look weird. Like, the machines don't look like what they used to look like when I was a youngster. And they aren't the ones with the big balls on the end of a barbell or anything. And I don't wear a unitard to lift weights. I'm not that old. But like,
what are you used to? That big band that shakes you?
No, it's not what I don't use that either. I use the thing that shocks your stomach so that you get abs.
Yeah, you do the ab flex.
That thing was so cool.
You pay for the gym and you go and you get access to every single as seen on TV workout item. They've got it all here. Should. It saves me money. I'm not constantly, I can go and get them. I don't have to wait. They have a whole row of the Tony Little gazelles, you know, gazelle gliders.
Oh, dude, I used to laugh at that commercial every time. There is almost nothing funny about it other than Tony Little.
Yeah, man.
Had like he like full of energy, like he never stopped moving, but the gazelle actual machine was hilarious to watch somebody do.
Well, he was always wearing the spandex, and his leg, he had a very good physique, but he would do it so fucking fast, and it was just like he was standing in the air doing the splits. It was just like doing the splits over and over again, and he's just hollering and yelling about how this is going to change your fucking life. We had a gazelle. My mom got the gazelle.
That is an insane thing to buy. What do you think? What's the Suzanne Summers thing?
She did that. No, the buns.
Yeah, there's Buns of Steel, but that's a video. Though there was a tummy sizer thing, like a blue sort of chair that you sit on to help you do sit-ups.
Thigh Master.
Thigh Master, that's it. Yeah.
Thigh Master. I was gonna say no. It was that. Yeah, it was that figure 8 looking thing.
Hey, this thing works. So this thing makes it a lot easier to do sit-ups, and I'm sure it helps.
Why isn't there a boutique gym like an 80s gym? Like where you go and wear leg warmers and shit and like guys wear mesh shirts, like belly shirts and shit, and just work out their arms. There's no leg stuff at all.
Yeah, and you do jazzercise.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Like the
high top Reeboks.
Yeah. Oh, the Reebok Step Up. Do you remember that
Yes.
whole workout? It was just like a box that you step up and then step down.
But it had green and pink risers to put underneath it to up the challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I Fight for Them said ellipticals burn a lot of calories. I got to tell you, I got on the elliptical and was done in 3 minutes. I said, I don't like the elliptical very much. I'm out.
The Gazelle is not an elliptical.
No, the Gazelle doesn't look like it has any resistance at all.
It doesn't at all. It's just swinging your legs back and forth. It'd be like laying on the bed and just swinging your legs back and forth.
And also they would just have to have like the Solo Flex and the Bow Flex at the gym.
Oh yeah,
like everybody wants to use that or everybody like a Nordic track.
Yes.
It's like skiing, the Nordic track. That thing. I used to ask my dad all the time, like, we should buy a Nordic track because I was little and it looked fun. He's like, he never said just no, which is like actually what he should have said to me. It's like, we're not buying a fucking Nordic track. He would explain to me that they break too easily. And it's like, I never believed him. But the Nordic track is also another ridiculous thing where it was like 2 poles sticking up and then it was like a thing on a chain where you just moved your feet back and forth, so it looked like I think it's cross country skiing is where you do that. It was like that was what it was supposed to do. Let's open a gym, dude, with just like all of the old school equipment, and we will get one of those bands that vibrates you too.
Everybody wants to try one. Everybody's curious about it.
People would go there to do selfies, dude.
That's
the thing. It's almost like a selfie museum, but it's also a gym. Okay. And it's also, I mean, you get the weights. Like I said,
we could do Taibo classes and shit too.
Taibo classes. That's another one. Fitness Trends used to kick ass, man.
Oh, I know.
They would come like on that so
fucking hard, just like months and months and months of it, and then it was like gone. Then they'd be back with like another ab thing.
Here's a new $800 machine that doesn't do anything at all. There's another $800 machine that you move 2 muscles to get going. They'll
finance you for 2 years, and as soon as that 2 years is up, they find something else to get you on another payment plan. They're like, all right, those people are done paying. They've got a free $40 a month. We got to get it back.
I got to get one, man. That is such a funny. That is the best idea for a business. And listeners, you're allowed to make one, I think.
Yeah.
Riku 2K13 said various VHS stations for old workouts.
Yes.
So you could do like 8-minute abs. You could do Buns of Steel.
You could do the Jane Fonda tapes.
Jane Fonda. And like, no, I don't want it on YouTube either. I don't want you to be able to just walk up and fucking pick the old school video on YouTube in like a walled garden situation. I want there to be a fucking shelf, like a bookshelf full of VHSs, and then a fucking CRT TV with a VCR on top of it. When I first started dating my wife, and I went over to their house, they collected VHS.
Collected?
They collect. Well, they don't collect it now, but I mean,
I guess they just bought movies. Yeah,
they were movie collectors. So they also collected DVDs. They still collect DVDs. Like they're buying new DVDs. But I went over there and like there were 3 whole shelves of workouts.
Yeah,
on their thing, and it was just like, you should have just stuck with one of them and like seen if it was gonna work out for you. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's always the promise of the new one. That's the downfall, is that there's always like, oh, I like it. Maybe the next tape will get me into it.
Psychic Gasoline said $900 clothes rack. That's what they used to say a treadmill is.
Yeah.
Is a now a treadmill is what I would call an albatross. It is a thing you buy, put in your basement, and then basically feel like you got to get rid of, but can't.
Yeah, you're like, this is too heavy.
There's
Who would
got to
want
be
this?
Craigslist free treadmills have to be one of the top things on Craigslist, right?
Yeah, right under piano.
CRT TVs too.
Yeah, those
Obviously.
two.
Those big fucking the first like flat screens, like the Mitsubishi
Toshibas.
or the Sony Trinitron.
Oh,
I had a Sony Trinitron with the glass thing. That was my first flat screen TV, and that thing weighed, I don't know, it had to be 200 pounds. It was crazy. So that was bad. All right.
All right, let's get these calls in.
Let's get a call.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, this is Hank in Los Angeles.
A skeleton? The
Hank,
whole
what's
world
up?
calls me Hank.
Hank in Los Angeles. Can you hear me?
What's up, buddy? How's it going, Hank? Yep, we can
guys
hear
hear
you.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, my
yeah, we
headphones
can
went
hear
out.
you. You there?
Yeah, got it. Sorry about that. So nice walk down nostalgia lane. I'm about your guys' age. And one thing that you made me think of was in the 90s. You remember the co-ed naked T-shirt craze?
Yeah.
You must remember that.
Oh, absolutely.
I was actually like
so big.
too young in the 90s to like understand it, but like yeah, I do remember it. I wasn't too young, because young people had co-ed naked shirts and Big Johnson shirts. Like kids my age had them.
I thought co-ed naked was for college kids and Big Johnson was for blue collar workers. Co-ed naked for some reason seemed a little more tongue in cheek. It wasn't as like in your face.
I don't know, dude. Kids in Groveport wore the fuck out of co-ed naked.
I would too.
And they were like 12.
Yeah.
Like you'd see a 12-year-old kid wearing a fucking co-ed naked shirt. And that's where you're like, well, that's like, I've said this before. I'm going to quickly say this thing, because it is like one of the most classist things I've ever heard of, to me, was back when I was a kid and you would go to school. People would say, like, if you wore a cigarette shirt, like if you wore a Joe Camel shirt to school, they would either make you go change or turn it inside out. And it was like, well, the rich kids aren't fucking wearing cigarette t-shirts, you know, like, and nobody's choosing to wear a Joe Camel t-shirt. It probably came with a pack of cigarettes. And it was the same thing with like co-ed naked, where it's like, man, it was probably the best day of that kid's life when he went to the store with his mom and got a co-ed naked shirt. Now you're fucking not letting them wear it anymore.
Yeah. Or the one that he wanted was out. Like they were out of like football, so he had to get volleyball or something. And they did like everything, like fish. It was just like a theme, like the Chia Pet. Like they just figured out that they could just keep making iterations. And it, from my memory, similar to Brian, I was like a little young for it, although kids my age were wearing them. But it wasn't overtly sexual. But that was just such a strange kind of craze at the time. Those were, I don't know. I just think about that every once in a while.
Yeah. I think I was confused by co-ed. I knew what it meant. And then it was like, oh, that means boys and girls.
Yeah.
Now that's different.
Yeah.
Now when you say co-ed naked running, take it in stride with nothing to hide, that means something different to me.
The only one I remember is pool. Get felt on the table.
There's also gambling, lay them on the table.
Yeah. I don't know, man. My parents were just like, no fucking no. You are not getting a co-ed naked shirt. You're not getting a Big Johnson shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents were kind of like, even a little bit with no fear, was like, that's a little bit too much for us.
Too much back sass. There's no bad boys club. We're not going to house any bad boys in this place.
Yeah. It's funny because I might be the only kid in Groveport, Ohio that didn't have a no fear t-shirt.
Oh.
And that was like, back then, no fear for people that have never seen it, which I'm definitely going to Google and try to find some No Fear t-shirts now to get myself to like live my life. But like
they just collabed with H&M.
Gotta do self-care.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there is a button-up shirt. I gotta get a t-shirt though. But like No Fear was basically that's Monster Energy vibes before there were energy drinks. Was No Fear and Fox. Oh, Fox was hot at Gadzooks. Like people, I didn't wear Fox because it was for the more like rednecky types. But like Fox, if you went to Gadzooks, they had a whole section of Fox racing. I was mostly there for the pants because they had the pants that come with a chain wallet situation. And I always, every pair of pants I had, I was like, these would fucking be so much more fresh if they had a chain.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's up, Hank?
Yeah, my parents. Nothing much. I just gotta say, like one of the cultural things my parents made sure to regulate to protect us was the Freddy and Jason movies. Somehow that like I actually have only seen one of them in my whole life. They made sure we never were exposed to those dangerous films, but they didn't give a shit about any other R-rated movies. Like we could watch almost anything because they were sort of out of their minds and not really paying that close attention. But I just think it's interesting how like there's certain cultural memes, to use a word that didn't exist back then, that like parents get a hold of, and then that's what they regulate. It's, I don't know, crazy.
Hank, I'm going to tell you something that's going to maybe blow your mind. I don't know. It might not. I was allowed to watch all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and all of the. I was allowed to watch Nightmare on Elm Streets. I was allowed to watch Jason, Friday the 13th movies. I was not. I did it, but there were two movies that there were only 3 movies my parents ever said I wasn't allowed to watch. Porky's 1, Porky's 2, and Bachelor Party. They were just like, nope, you're not. Nope, no Porky's. Now I watched them. Like they were so against. So I would have to go off the beaten path for my sex comedies and watch Hamburger the Motion Picture and stuff like that.
Yeah, it just forced you down the black market, which is why the prohibition is always bad, Yeah, I agree.
It's true. I had to go on the black market and watch my sex comedies. My raunchy sex comedies had to be stuff that nobody's ever heard of. Hamburger the Motion Picture was just such a huge thing for me when I was growing up. I probably got like 2 or 3 of the jokes, but there were a lot of titties in it. And also like at that time in my life, I really was like dreaming that I could work at like a McDonald's or something like that. Cause I was like 10. I just was like, I really love being at McDonald's.
Yeah. Hey man. Like, and I'm about your age, Brian. So we were like pre-internet kids. So we didn't have like hardcore porn exposure at the age of 4, like kids are these days or whatever. It must be horrifying to raise kids with what's on the internet. So like scrambled porn, for instance. I'm sure you have recollections of. Yeah, well, I suppose, but like, yeah, I even remember trying to build a little decoder thing off of some plans that I found on a local BBS or something to try to like coil wire around a nail to try to like get the signal to the scrambled porn. And you'd occasionally see what like the shadow of a nipple, and it would like make your whole stomach. It was a yeah. It never worked, but like you'd still see the occasional boob shape. Yeah. Yeah.
That's fucking nuts. You tried to make your own descrambler? I've never seen the plans for making my own descrambler ever. That I'm impressed. Really.
Yeah, we just happened to. It was like wires and copper and a nail, and it was like we didn't get very far. We weren't that enterprising. It wasn't like one of those
super cool though. That you tried.
Yeah, it was. We gotta try. That's my version of having to walk to school in the snow uphill both ways. It was really rough on us back then.
True.
Yeah. Anyway, I had a couple things, but I know you got other people on the call. I have a story about why you shouldn't urinate in a gas can, but I think I'll save that for another time. I just wanted to say a couple things about Mike Rowe, who we talked about on Wednesday's show. And forgive me if you guys have already made this point about this guy, but I hate this. I hate him so much. He's such a piece of shit. But he's basically just Ronald Reagan in a baseball hat, right? Like he's just a guy he's a theater kid who's cosplaying as a regular person. And it's gross that so many people fall for it. It's a trick. That guy went to college for opera singing. That's what he studied.
Well, yeah.
And
I mean,
and now he spends his time sucking up to the ruling class.
We said this on Wednesday. I mean, I don't, I gotta be honest with you. I gotta say that I don't really think he was sucking up. He is sucking up to the ruling class necessarily. I think it's money. He just likes having money. Because you gotta imagine that he's making incredible fucking money doing what he's doing, right? Like just so much fucking money. And like, I really think that's his thing. I don't know that he wants to suck up to the ruling class. I think that he knows what he has to say to get what he wants. And Brett pointed something out Wednesday that I found like extremely fucking interesting because, I mean, Brett sees him on Facebook. I don't see him on Facebook. So I only get him when he does something big, right? Or when somebody sends me something on Twitter about him. But like that he's made this turn towards the right. And to me, that seems like a calculated decision that he made because leftists have sort of figured out his game. He was on Citations Needed. Darna Noor wrote that article about him. And it just is like he has kind of figured out like, well, there's nothing for me with liberals and leftists. There's only what is left for me is with conservatives. So he's basically just moving himself to like the right as far as like culture war stuff because he knows that's where it's money. I maybe he does it to kiss up the people in power, but I just really think like it is 100% a financial decision with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just a chameleon guy. He's just a snaky dude. And that, to me, it just comes across as he sounds very nice and very hokey and very thoughtful or whatever. But he's absolutely just throwing people to the incinerator. Like he's a killer. He's harming so many people and advocating for so many people to have harder lives than they already have, while he just sits there and is like, I say the tough stuff, which is nobody wants to work these days. No one wants to have a dirty job these days. Right. Like,
I mean, you can tell he's a killer. If you follow him for any period of time, you can tell he's a guy that's just like, he's a shark, dude. Like he's definitely like a for lack of a better term, he's a predator. Like he absolutely does not fucking care about anybody except for himself. And I truly believe that he functions, how they say like a shark is only looking for blood or looking to eat. I really think that because I mean, look at how much he does, like he's got to be, now I'm going to look up micro net worth and it's going to piss everybody off. But I think he's like has a lot of money. Like I think he's like actually very rich. And net worth $30 million. So like I think he's just a guy that it's never enough. There's just fucking never enough. And he's gonna keep going for more and more and more. I don't think that he really believes a lot of the right-wing culture war stuff. Maybe he believes in the snowflake stuff, and maybe there was a time where he didn't believe any of this stuff, but like, I don't know if he believes anything other than, I get to be a 30 million actor television guy, and you get to, dig shit piles for your life, and you should be glad about that.
So okay, maybe a better phrasing is he's a servant. He's a servant of the ruling class. Go ahead.
I didn't play it, but there is a part in that video where him and John Stossel are talking about how like, if we were smart, we'd be welders. And I never looked at his net worth before, but they're talking about how you can make 6 figures as a welder. And it's like, motherfucker, no, you have 30 million fucking dollars. You know, you could have been a welder if you wanted to be a welder, you know?
Yeah, and he got that money.
He's a piece of shit.
I'm sure a big part of it probably comes from public appearances and books and stuff. But the TV show, Dirty Jobs, he was just cosplaying. He's pretending to, showing up. He's got communication skills. Like, he's a professional presenter. And that's like another similarity to Reagan. Reagan was a corporate pitchman, and he is essentially just serving the ruling class, maybe not sucking up, but serving them. And it's a convenient congruence that his personal predilections line up with this kind of bullshit narrative that you just gotta, show up early, stay late, don't get paid, work hard, get dirty, get poisoned, be a fucking sucker for your boss's career, And I think he fulfills an archetype that sort of fits within America's like pining for that mythical past that was never true. Like when politicians use the term coal miner, what they're actually saying is white guys who are dirty, who go into holes in the ground, but it's usually kind of like secretly racified by saying dirty white guys in hard hats. And like Mike Rowe is essentially pretending to be a regular guy when he's absolutely not, and he's made himself rich off of that. And meanwhile, there's the receiving end of that is people who trust these archetypes that see him and say, see, that's what my son should be like. I wish he was my son. I feel like that's kind of a thing. Like I also have a theory that Pete Buttigieg is also famous because everybody wishes he was their son. They'd be good sons. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I know.
He's just a fucking asshole. And I'd love to see a leftist Dirty Jobs, like a proper leftist doing the Dirty Jobs type of show. That would be great. I'm a woodworker. I barely make any money. I'm going to ask my boss for a raise tomorrow just because I'm signing up for healthcare today. And it's going to cost me $80 to $100, even with the California subsidy help, which is just all goes to some for-profit insurance company. And I'm only going to ask for a raise, just hoping that I get enough of a raise to cover my sudden expense of healthcare. Doesn't improve my lot in any way, and I don't get any health care out of it too, because of the deductibles and all the other bullshit. So fuck Mike Rowe, I guess is my point.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, it's the same way that like Tony from Indian Death Cult pointed out how that doctor that talked to Joe Rogan just kind of speaks in a cadence that sounds like people telling the truth on TV, or like the way some comedians just talk like they're telling a joke. It doesn't really matter what they say. It just sounds funny when they say it. He has like a cadence and a rhythm that makes people think about like something a wise grandpa would say. Oh, I don't know all about that, boy. It's just about getting your hair cut high and tight and eating an apple a day. Like that's just this hokey fake ass thing. And that he's like, he's a total fucking just backstabber.
Agreed. Yeah, and he ignores the nuance of living in this complicated world. It's because it's a narrative that's simple. Like, oh, you just work hard and everything works out. Like, and that's their excuse to point at people who are having a hard time and saying, look, that person just didn't live like Mike Rowe. If only that person had watched Dirty Jobs more or some bullshit. And I used to watch that show. I used to,
Well,
so all right.
Me too.
Thank you guys.
We've said this a million times, but like,
peace.
You're welcome. We've said this a million times, but Mike Rowe also is of the belief that he decided he wanted to be on television when he was a kid or be in movies. So he got a job at a movie theater and was just such a hard worker that now has $30 million.
Yeah. And he's just like, I don't know anybody who ever failed that didn't stop trying. Like that's his answer to somebody that like that doesn't have parents and their car breaks down, right? Or has like some sort of disability or a medical problem or anything. It's just like, where there's a will, there's a way. We all know that's true, right, folks? It's like, no, we're all getting ground up into fucking paste. It's looking worse and worse for us. Like no one's getting ahead on this. Shit.
He never comments on guys like your dad or like the guys I worked with roofing or some of the guys that are like 65, still running cable and shit like that. Like that is never something that he He never covers that ever.
Right.
You never hear what happens at the end when I worked a dirty jobs hard and it took my whole body away from me.
Yeah.
Like, what happens now?
What about the dirt? He should do the dirty job of trying to live on disability for like a month. That should be his just fucking job, is try to hold down a household and keep himself fed on disability checks.
Do you remember when Morgan Spurlock did that in Columbus?
Oh yeah, tried to be broke.
But he tried to live on minimum wage for a month in Columbus. And it was pretty wild, actually. It wasn't too bad. I kind of liked it as like a show.
I think that should be on every day. That should be a whole channel.
It should just be a TV show where different people have to do it every week in different cities too.
Yes, everybody. Yes. Yeah, it needs to be on all the time. That's like my Chris Hansen should be on all the time. That's my version of it.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's take another call.
Thanks for calling Street Fight.
Sorry. Hello.
Hey there. Howdy.
Hey, it's Nick. How you going?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I was gonna say yeah, pretty good. I was finding it funny because I was gonna complain about like financial situation here, but then hearing about the last caller having to sort out health insurance seems pretty bleak. It's not really a problem that we have down here in New Zealand.
Oh, we're all used to it. It's not that bleak.
Yeah, we've been trying to figure that out forever. It is bleak. It sucks. But I think Americans, especially, that are of a certain age, I would say, like once you get to be like 30, if you're still like fiddling around with insurance, like if it's still something that you have to think about on an almost constant basis, it just is a background thing. It's just like, oh, the thing that not having insurance really does is like, hey, I have this spot on my leg. Should I go get this looked at? And yes, the answer is yes. But a lot of times if you do that, it's a problem,
I just find especially with the Great Resignation or whatever people are calling it this year, and lots of people are quitting their jobs and stuff, but it must be pretty hard if you've got the only healthcare you have tied to where you're working. Do you find that ties people to their jobs?
Yes.
Yeah. Really keeps people in miserable jobs forever. Maybe, I don't know, people are just getting more loosey-goosey because of COVID. They're just like, fuck it, it's all on the line. Who knows what tomorrow has to hold? But certainly most people are like, please God, just let me find insurance that doesn't charge me too much and that is good enough to take care of my family. Yeah.
I've got news from New Zealand as well. We've got coronavirus now, properly. So it's going to be a pretty interesting wee while.
Oh, really?
Omicron.
Okay.
Yeah, it's we've sort of managed to keep it at bay. I think we've only had 60 deaths in the whole country since the outbreak started, but now it's to the point where Omicron's too gnarly for us to actually keep it under wraps. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Have you got any tips for staying healthy? I know you guys have talked about it quite a bit, and I think you've both had it, right?
I don't actually think I had it, but the only thing you can do is be as careful as careful as you can and make sure you have the shots. I think is once you have the shot, once you have the vaccines, you just live as well as you can. N95s apparently help a lot too, so that I wear those. But I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't even know how I avoided getting it. So, and I think it really is just almost like a crapshoot. And if you have the booster and the 2 shots, then you might get it and you might not. The only way to ensure that you don't get it is to, not do anything, which is definitely a course of action.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to some friends last night that didn't have the booster, and they said it was hell.
Yeah.
Delta, in my opinion, was pretty easy to beat if you followed most protocols. Like I avoided it all year long, and I did more stuff than I've ever done in a year before. Omicron is super contagious, and like I haven't even been to a show in the last since I had it, and I've been avoiding stuff and like hanging out with my old lady, just like at the house making dinner and stuff. I'm kind of paying attention to the numbers coming in because it seems like it's very hard. It's very hard to avoid if you're going to go out and do something like go to a bar or a restaurant and be unmasked. Other than that, I would get the N95 and then just stay. I don't know. I went to a concert and I was drinking. I don't know. That's how.
I mean,
that's how I got it.
The thing is, though, like it really is like, yeah, you were at a concert and you were drinking. That's how you got it. My wife wasn't doing anything and got it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't do shit. We went for Christmas with 3 people that didn't have the booster, who was hanging up with somebody with only 1 shot, and that's how it got to us. So, like, I don't know. It's just you get the booster and you wear the mask and you'll probably, I don't know. I hate to say you'll be okay.
Yeah,
but
I'm hoping to think that like
I will say that
you can't say that. I mean, the numbers. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. There's a massive delay. Yeah, I think I'm eligible for the booster in like a month's time because New Zealand started our vaccine rollout really late compared to the States.
Right. So, I mean, if you've had the 2 shots and you're not 6 months out, it sort of feels like to me like you're probably fairly safe. I mean, you just have to think of it the way that you've been thinking of it for the past 2 years. It's like you're pretty safe if you just take medium level precautions. That's what I call what I did. It's like, I'm not like taking heavy risks or anything like that, but like I'm also not like not taking risks, so it's hard to tell. It really is. It's so hard to give advice for this kind of thing. And it if you're vaxxed and it's still at the point where it's effective, and then if you get the booster, it seems like you'll probably be okay if you end up getting it.
Yeah,
but like I
really
said,
funny because
my brother hadn't.
We're seeing this from like a like it's almost like for a national level because I think the amount of cases we had today were like 50 across the entire country. So I say it's coming, but we're still like
you're pretty good.
Really, really low cases. Yeah, there's like, I mean, our population.
I think you're probably fairly
5
safe.
million, so I think we're like on in size and population pretty equivalent to like Colorado, if you want to compare it to anywhere in the States.
Yeah, winners and losers in the chat said shower with your groceries. Number 1 tip.
Yes, smart move.
Actually,
you got to relive the same stuff that
Brian,
we did. Sorry.
Oh man, I got a call in from like a better line next time. Brian? Did you get your car sorted? I was just going to say mine got broken into and like they fucked up the door lock on the driver's side door, so I've got to wait for insurance to sort it out. But it's like, in New Zealand, every car's a Toyota pretty much, and it's a 34-year-old Toyota Corolla. So the panel beaters are like scratching their heads trying to figure out where to get a new door and door lock from.
Yeah, no, I mean, my car's great. I haven't had any car trouble at all with my new car. Whatever that noise my family was claiming the car made, I don't think it made. And now I actually have a theory on what that noise was. And it's very simple. It snowed here. And do you know how that hard snow gets up under your tire and like makes like a thing? Right,
yeah,
Brett?
A piece of obsidian.
And it makes noise sometimes if it rubs up against something.
If you turn it too much.
I think that's what was going on, but I would never say that to them because they get mad when I minimize the trouble with the car.
Tell them they got to kick it off. They got to do a donkey kick. Show them how to donkey kick the goddamn ice off.
Yeah. It's so funny because like if I tell them like I don't think there's anything wrong with the car, they like either take it personally or they think I'm being cheap.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't trust you
I'm
either. I
I'm
mean, it's
being
hard.
cheap.
You're not trustworthy on that. Like you don't have any reason to. You're not like an authority on what's going wrong with the car.
Right. But I mean, I'm an authority on like when it needs to go get looked
That's
at.
also
I
you are.
guess.
That's true. You have the most anxiety, so I guess you are the most keenly attuned to when to freak out.
Yeah. Yeah. And when to freak out is if you hit the brake and it doesn't stop, or if the tire's flat, or when you turn the key, it doesn't make a noise. But even then,
I hate shaking. Shaking is the one that fucking drives me nuts. Like when you turn it on and start shaking and you can't keep it on because you're just getting more scared as it shakes, but you want to like figure out what the fuck is happening. Ugh.
mine's actually clicking. I'll tell you
Yeah.
why. Because I was driving a 95 Achieva in 2008. And I filled it up. Oh God. This story bums me out still to this day. I filled it up with gas. I had probably $60 in the bank after the fill up with gas and a week to get paid. And I was like, well, the car is filled with gas. I shouldn't have to get gas until after I get paid. This $60 is just going to be for, whatever, food or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
And I fucking fill it up. I drive a quarter mile away and I hear clicking, click, 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 click. And I'm like, man, what is that? And then all of a sudden, smoke starts coming up. And then I get out of the car and there's antifreeze, a big pool of antifreeze on the ground. And I blew a head gasket like a quarter mile after filling my tank up with gas. I was in a parking lot
so much, man.
when it happened. I pulled into a parking lot and like I fucking stood at that. I kicked the fucking shit. I just started kicking the car as hard as I could. And like I wanted to scream, but I didn't because I didn't want to call attention to myself. But I just stood in this parking lot and kicked the fucking car as hard as I could because I knew it. I fucking knew it. I know that when antifreeze, when there's a pool of fluids under the car, it's done. I know it's done.
Yeah, the stuff's supposed to. The liquids are supposed to stay inside.
Yeah. If there's liquid on the ground, it's done. The goddamn car's done. I still have a visceral reaction to the water that comes out of the exhaust when you use your air conditioning. The little drips.
Yeah.
I still have like a reaction to that because I'm like, it's wet under the fucking car. What's going on? Like if you ever drive with me a long distance, you will notice that every time I get out of the car, when I get home or when I get to where I'm going, I look under the car and see if there's water or fluids under the car because of that day. That day is like, that's when I panic, basically, which is way too late to panic.
Yeah.
But like, that is when I panic. Like, I remember when it first started clicking, I was like, oh, it probably needs oil. That's why when my wife fucking starts saying, like, the car's making a noise, maybe it needs an oil change. I'm like, no, that's not what it is. That's not a solve to any problem.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We're because we're a million miles away from
motherfucker.
anything else. Petrol's like it's nearing like $3 a liter, which is like doing the maths is I think it's like $7.50 a gallon. It's real fucking expensive here, and like like food's so fucking expensive now as well. It's like inflation's like really actually like when you end up like getting a bit older, like I'm just in my 30s now, and you actually have to pay notice for it because you're not just eating instant noodles, which will always be like 50 cents. It starts getting a bit scary, and I think this year's going to be real nasty for it with all the like infrastructure, collapsing across the world as people, get outside of the pandemic or have like died. It's fucked up, man.
Yeah, that's Joe Brandon. He causes the inflation. you know. But yeah, I know.
People
It's $7 a gallon is crazy.
Yesterday, and they've got like Let's Go Brandon flags and like Trump flags and shit, and it's like New Zealand's so embarrassing because we can't even create our own like embarrassing political culture. Like, why are people protesting Joe Biden in the dumbest way in Auckland? It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, let's go, Brandon.
There used to be a group we followed that
Australian
Tea Party we used to follow, and they would go crazy about like halal food coming to Subway and shit like that, and they would post like don't tread on the flags and like just pro-American politics stuff, and like they were fighting the good fight out there in Australia.
They never posted about Australia either, like ever. It does seem like there are like the right wing throughout this whole world is all Trump people. Like,
they're
American
united
right
front.
wingers. Yeah, we have like, you know, it's the same way that like a lot of people like Jeremy Corbyn in the United States, the same people like Bernie Sanders like Jeremy Corbyn.
Yep.
Like that sort of squares for me, I guess. It doesn't square for me that people in New Zealand like Donald Trump, like Trump as a president.
Because, like,
you know
why are people complaining about Joe Biden? Even in the States, he's been a pretty fucking milquetoast, middle of the road Democratic president. Like he's not where I'd want the Democrats to be over there, but he's not like obscenely offensive. It's just bizarre, really. Like
Nick, I'm going to give you an American history lesson right now. You maybe looking from the outside think Joe Biden's like a moderate centrist guy, right? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no such thing as that in America. Like none of the president, like basically half of the country is going to freak out no matter who the fucking president is. It doesn't like it's for real. Like Joe Biden, you would think that Hitler is the president to right-wing people, and then whoever wins.
It's funny because, like,
3 years,
in New Zealand,
it'll be the same
right-wing
thing.
party are firmly to the left of Joe Biden. So why aren't they out there protesting? Who we've got and like, you know, our Labour Party, which is our left-wing party, which is in government at the moment, like. You know, like I suppose comparatively, even though you know it's nowhere near my politics, are firmly to the left of Joe Biden as well. Like it's really fucking funny. I think it's just because of QAnon, really. There's a whole bunch of people who are claiming that, like, you know, Jacinda Ardern's a lizard person, and you know, has been secretly arrested and replaced with a robot or some shit. You know, it's real QAnon shit.
We got to get you, if you ever need help trying to get over to America where gas is $3 a gallon, I'd love to help you. I really would. And a gallon, in my opinion, a gallon is more than a liter. So.
Yeah. And I tell you what, and I say this, you know, with all due respect, I'll take my paying for insurance as long as I'm paying less per gallon.
That is, I mean, that's the most American sentence of all
and shit.
Yeah. I mean that's
why
exactly it.
Figure 8 bus racing.
Gas is cheap, so we can fucking do whatever we want with it. We can pour it on. I mean, do pranks where like that scene in Zoolander is for real. Like that is kind of how we act a lot of times when you're spraying it around. So that's it.
It's really funny because like car culture is definitely coming from the States here. Sorry about the delay again, but like our most popular cars are like, you know, massive sort of American style trucks. Like they're smaller than like F-150s and stuff, but they're big Ford Rangers and shit. And it's just real funny because like petrol's so expensive here, and the people who are driving them, it's like in the States, it's all, you know, office workers and stuff. Just really, really fucking funny because we used to be sensible about it and have, you know, like 1.2, 1.5 liter cars, but now it's all like 2.8 liter utes. It doesn't make any sense.
I want to bring Nick over to the United States to stand next to like just an average truck you see in a parking lot.
Yeah, the new F-150 with a 55-inch tall hood height.
Yeah, everything's lifted. Everything's like I'm 5'11" and everything's taller than me. Well, Nick.
Anyway, man,
you
this delay's getting all fucked up, so I'll leave you guys
to
to it.
From you. Peace. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Nick.
One.
Always happy to hear from New Zealand.
Yeah. $7 a liter, Brett. That's how much gas is.
No, $7 a gallon.
No, a liter over there.
No, $3 a liter, $7.50 a gallon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I actually, what's really funny.
It's petrol, too. Is it called petrol?
Yeah. Is people are going to be listening to this podcast like tomorrow and for the rest of the week. And they're going to think I was serious when I say a liter is more than a gallon is more than a liter, in my opinion.
It is.
They're gonna think that I really meant that. Like you could just say something like that in your opinion. So I'm letting you know I'm not that stupid.
Okay, that's not fun. That's not fun for them. Don't treat them like now you're treating them like they're stupid. Like you thought, oh, you assumed I was stupid. No, you're stupid.
Yeah, you're stupid. You fell for it. Well, no, but that makes me feel better is when I tell them they're stupid. So
okay,
yeah.
Whatever you need. All right,
let's do the next call.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hi guys, it's Calvin. Haven't talked in a while.
Hey, what's up?
How's it
Can
going?
you hear me? Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just first things first. I know, Brian, you lifelong Bengals fan. You must be so excited that your team's in the Super Bowl.
He's been waiting for this.
Here's the thing. I am a lifelong Bengals fan, but I hadn't watched football for like 5 years. So it's kind of, I'm excited as fuck. I cannot wait. That game was so fun to watch. So I will at least watch. I said this on Twitter one day. I will probably be watching football for at least the next 5 years.
Wow.
Because like, that's all it takes, dude. It takes like, cause I like football. Like I've been watching it since 1989 when the Bengals played the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Was the first time I ever looked at a game. And I saw the Bengals uniforms, and I was like, those are the sickest uniforms in the entire league. Like the black ones. And like, I was like, I'm a fan of these guys. And plus I asked my dad who he liked, and he said Cincinnati. So like I was a Bengals fan. And so I watched it, through high school and for the first few years of my 20s, and they stunk. So I quit watching. And then I started watching again as an adult. I watched for like 10 years and they stunk, so I quit watching. And now they're good and I'm back, baby.
This reminds me of like when Daniel Bryan popped off and then you got into wrestling. Or like when as soon as Lost was ended, like the day that Lost was coming to a conclusion, you decided to watch all of Lost.
Yes. That was actually one of the smartest decisions I ever made. That was like very early in binge watching. And like when I started it, like people now will be like, I start it when it's over so I can watch the whole thing. I didn't even fucking know. But yes, I am late. I started watching wrestling the day after WrestleMania 30 on Monday. And I started watching, but I've been back with wrestling for 7 years now.
Right.
So I don't think I'm going nowhere.
All right.
But I'm a Bengals guy.
Bengals.
All right.
Who day?
Who day? It's who day, not Bengals. Who day?
Well, I don't know if there are any callers behind me, but I do know that it's kind of getting towards the end of show night, so I'm going to keep it brief with what I had to say.
Cool.
So longtime listeners might remember me calling to talk a couple times before about how I hiked the Appalachian Trail.
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah. And so last time I called in, which I think was probably like at least a month ago, I mentioned I was doing another long distance trail that I am calling the Goblins Curve.
Ooh.
How long is it?
So it's about 1,800 miles long. For perspective, the AT is about 2,200. So it's actually pretty comparable length.
18. How do you,
basically,
I know we're running out of time. How did you plan it? How do you plan something like from the beginning? Not, you don't have to give us a big detailed thing, but is the Goblins Curve a new tour? Because I'll do it real quick. I watched this show on HBO called Generation Hustle, and it's just 8 different documentaries, like 45 minutes long, of people who got caught basically scamming people, young people though. Like it like basically is from like 2015 on. And one of the guys that scammed people, it's so genius what he did, right? He got involved on this website called, I don't remember what it's called, but it's for people who they call themselves extreme travelers, right? And like the guy's like, the first guy you see is like, I've been to every country in the world. And, you know, like it's all these people that get really into traveling. And he got involved on this website and started putting together expeditions because he just figured out that like people just want somebody to tell them where to go. And he just started lying about where he had traveled. And he literally fucking did a bunch of them, but it was a Ponzi scheme. And his lifestyle, the way he was living at a country club, and like his lifestyle was just such, like, he could have been a legit business, but his lifestyle was such that he didn't make enough money to cover his fucking lifestyle.
Yeah, that's easy to do.
But, well, that's how I live too. I mean, not at those numbers, not in the 6 figures.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can be satiated eventually. Eventually I'm like, all right, this is a little excessive what I'm doing here.
Yeah, and I'll just treat it like a business, dude. I don't need to, like, if I'm doing something successful, because he had all these people on the hook for like trips to, like, you know, Bosnia, and like they were taking a trip to like the Antarctica and shit like that. And that's why I brought it up, because like a lot of these people were just people with money that fucking wanted to go to these very remote places that hardly anybody goes to, or that are dangerous, or they did a lot of like the disaster tourism and shit. But like, people were willing to give him 6 figures to get on a trip to like Antarctica or something like that, just because they didn't want to fucking figure out how to get there, but they wanted to get there.
Yeah.
And so like, it seems like a real skill to come up with your own walking trail.
So I will briefly sum it up. So the AT, like, the planning is different because like it's right there for you. So many people have done it. This one, I'm stitching together a bunch of already existing kind of long distance trails into a combination that itself hasn't been done before. Basically, I'll be starting at the Intercoastal Waterway near next week, which is why I wanted to call.
Oof. Okay. Intercoastal Waterway. Where's that?
So basically at the Atlantic Ocean near Charleston.
Ooh,
so I'll be I'll be walking all the way across South Carolina, essentially. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to stay on trail, like in the mountains for a bit, and cut a little bit north up towards the Smokies.
Oh, okay.
And from the Smoky Mountains,
that's some high terrain.
Yep. And so from the Smoky Mountains, at some point I will turn east and start walking across North Carolina all the way to the Outer Banks.
Nice. Okay. So is you're leaving next week to do?
Yeah.
Isn't it cold where you're going? Like, are you doing this on purpose in the cold because you don't like to be hot? I mean, that's perfectly reasonable explanation.
Basically, yeah, it is cold. But so my rationale was that I'm going to be beginning and ending this thing like in some pretty swampy areas. And I want to get through with that before it gets hot, because then it can get really unpleasant. Like mosquitoes are everywhere. It's humid as hell. So I figured I would rather just suck it up and deal with cold now.
Really? How do you camp? Like you're camping, so you're outside. Yes, A1,
Yeah.
C1, A1B. Yes, Brian does love to hear about other people walking. I really do.
And also, Black Calderot in the chat, yes, the Mountains of V Trail in North Carolina will be what my guideline for that part. It's not yet fully done. There will be some parts where I just have to walk on roads, which is going to suck, but...
That's so cool. I really call us while you're on the trip. I called it a trip.
Yeah, for sure. I'll keep y'all posted. I'm gonna plug where to follow it real quick. That's cool.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So we are. I'm sorry, my cat is messing with me right now. So I'm posting it from 2 accounts, both on Instagram. One is my personal, which is MORNIN Hayes, HAYS, like morning without the G, then Hayes, HAYS. And I also created an account specifically just for like daily journals and such, which is Goblin Curve. Both of which spelled the normal way.
Okay, the Goblin Curve. We're establishing it now.
Hoping,
yeah.
Yep. I'll be the first, and so I'm gonna try like post daily onto the Goblin Curve account, and yeah, hope Street Fight wants to see some weird stuff. You can give me a follow on both of those, and maybe you'll get to a point where I start begging y'all for money, but I think I'm good right now.
And if you ever walk through Ohio, I will take a leg with you there. I would love to walk with somebody. That would be really cool.
Well, Brian, there actually is a trail that goes. I do want to say real quick before we go, there is a trail that goes all the way around Ohio called the Buckeye Trail. So that could be a future battle.
Oh.
Yeah. That could be a future Brian idea. That seems doable to me. If somebody follows me in a car.
Yeah, it basically just goes around the perimeter.
The big complaint I have about like that kind of walking is that I would need my wife and kid to like meet up with me at least like twice a week, I think. But other than that, I'm like good. So I'm gonna have to be rich before.
So a helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna walk for a whole year and then helicopter your family in twice a week.
Yes, that sounds like a perfect way to do things. Well, Goblin, thanks for calling, and keep us posted.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you some updates.
Nice, cool. So it's
right,
Cincinnati versus the Rams. Peace. Cincinnati versus the Rams for Super Bowl. So very amped right now.
When was the last time? Has those people ever been?
The Bengals have. The Rams, yeah. I've seen the Rams play in a Super Bowl. This is exciting. I'm very excited. All right. Let's get it.
Let's call.
Win. All right, last call, baby.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Oh, yes, I'm the last one. This is Bobby, the bartender from Seattle.
Yes, Bobby! What is up?
Oh my gosh, my friends!
How you been?
What are you all doing? How's it going?
Just casting our asses off. We're doing great. It's good. It's good to hear from you. How are you doing? More importantly, everybody gets to hear how we're doing twice a week.
Well, let's see here. Oh, this little black gay kid is out here conquering the what's it called? The property management scene here in Seattle. Repositioning, learning, because you got to kind of, what they say, you need to know your enemy. You got to know your enemy before you can, take them on. So.
Yeah, property management. That you're not like a landlord if you do that though. That is like you're more of like just a worker. You're like working on stuff for landlords.
Exactly. So, my whole thing is, well, how does this whole thing work? Because I kind of need to see it from the inside before you can kind of explain it to the people on the outside, because it makes no sense, right? Like renewal notices, increases, all the things that people deal with their property management. How do you know what it is until you get inside and see the books, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff is you can't really you can't just read about it. You can't study it. Like you just have to really jump into it to understand what the fuck is how they're screwing us over, the language that's being used, the way they're cutting corners, all that stuff.
I really feel like I've learned I feel like both me and Brett learned a lot when he was doing the mystery shopping. Like it was really an eye-opening thing hearing about what the job was and what you had to do. You know what I mean? Or what they're being judged against. So like any of that kind of thing is like it is interesting to see how these things work at the very least. And yeah, Dot Calm in the chat said property management is basically a landlord outsourcing the labor of owning property. And yeah, I learned about that in my first downtown apartment. I thought I was renting it from a place, and they were like, "We don't fucking own it, man. We just work for the landlord." And I'd never met the landlord or heard a single word from him.
So, okay. So I was cleaning. So I have a cleaning business. So I was cleaning for this clinic in this building in Seattle. And it's a newer building. It was done in like 2016. And I just so happened to like run into the new property manager while I was trying to actually quit. I was going to like end my contract with them. And she's like, I'm looking for an assistant. And I was like, you know what? I think I could probably pull this off. So, I like threw together a resume real fast and sent it over. And the manager and I kind of like vibed. So we worked it out. And so it's for this company, which, I mean, of course, there are all these like companies that have managed for all of these different properties. They're all just like leeches. They're just third party, middlemen that are running these properties for these developers. And I get to see like how they're putting all these fees on. And, where these, like the renewal amounts are coming from. Because so like in Seattle, everyone's getting these renewals now. The moratorium is over. And people are like, they're getting $500 increases, $400 increases. And they're like, what is going on? Like, this isn't fair. This doesn't make any sense. And I keep trying to tell people, like, everything can be negotiated. None of those prices are real. I've talked to all the people in this business who come up with those prices, and they're all just like computer generated just to see if people are going to pay it.
No way. So let me ask you this, and I've never considered this in my life. Is the initial rent negotiable, or is that like a hard price?
Absolutely. So I tell people, okay, so I've been doing this now for 2.5 months. Okay. 2.5 months. Let me tell you what I've gotten in 2.5 months. That the market rent price. So when you see something and it's a market rent price. So for instance, in my building, I've got a 1-bedroom. The market rent for it is $1,900. It's on the 4th floor. That is just an AI price. It is not real. A computer came up with it, and it's based off of all of the input from people who are searching. So there's this group called the CoStar Group. They're one of the big ones, and they own like apartments.com, Hot Pass. They do all of that. So they're collecting all of your data, right? They know who's searching in what area and what time of day, how much money they have, where they work. They're going back to your email addresses, and that's how they decide. That's how the computer decides how much the market rent is going to be for where you're looking at.
Oh God,
that's
yeah.
That is, and
I know.
but I've never asked for less money for my. I've never been like, actually, I want to pay this amount to see if they would do it. Yeah, I mean, for me, the way I rent an apartment is I go to a management company and I'd say I'd like the most expensive apartment you have, and they give me the best one. Is how it works for me.
That's so Brian.
That's how I do
black
things.
Tea that's like streetwear, and he comes with like a black tea as like a welcoming gift. So you absolutely.
Actually, I actually got my apartment just because I happened to be lucky enough to be driving by when I saw the for rent sign, and they were trying to rent to the first person that fucking called. That's how I got mine.
That's smart. That's usually the best way to do it is, to find like an independent place where you can, I don't know, where it's like, it's not a building. Like everything now are these cheap, they're called like 5/1s or whatever. It's like these cheap 5/1, that those 5-6 story buildings. They're cheaply constructed. You can hear everything in the hallways and all that stuff. And they want all this money because they have a couple of Pelotons in the gym and a rooftop deck. So,
I want to do a Peloton though. I did a spinning bike and I was like, I'm ready to do a fucking Peloton now. They don't have any at the gym I go to, but yeah. But so that is the other thing, because like I don't trust a lot of that stuff. Like the fact that they say like, hey, there's an arcade, which I don't know what arcade means. I've never Googled what it means, but you drive by a lot of these apartment complexes and they'll say they have an arcade and a theater. And it's like, nobody uses that shit. Like, you don't have to put that there. Nobody is ever going to go hang out in the rental office wherever the pool table
The
is.
GOAT. There is an apartment complex that had a bar inside of it called the GOAT, and they would get like the local radio station to come and do parties and stuff. And I knew someone that lived at the complex and was like, no way, we're not going to go to the bar at the complex. That's for losers. Like why would you do that?
Because we found out, what me and Katie found out is that like a lot of them you can like run a tab on your rent and just pay it at the end of the month.
Okay, I'm in. I need that. I wish Eldos did that.
Yeah. We looked at a place that had a bar in the complex, and they were like, and you can just add it to your rent. And it's like, we would be fucking broke, man. If there was food at that place, they would be like my fucking Hello Fresh. We'd like stop there every day.
Eating in the airport. It's like eating in the airport. That's how expensive it is. It has to be eating in the airport expensive.
It is. It has to be. I never looked at the prices because we didn't end up staying in the complex.
Yeah, it's an apartment complex. They're going to try to sell you a $1 hamburger for $10.
Yes. Like one of those fucking frozen burgers you see at the grocery store, and it's like, this will be $10, sir. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jeez. There are so many.
I just wanted to like give some tips to people. Like I just wanted people to know how screwed they are. I just want people to understand that the more searching you do, right? The more places you sign up for, the more apps you download. Just know that like you are contributing. It's almost like house buying, in Seattle, where it's like these companies, they know they keep buying up everything because they know exactly where you're looking. So all the prices, everything is based on, they need you to feed the system kind of in a way.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I want people to understand that.
Yeah, they're using.
Don't feed the system.
Yeah, there are so many people that don't have a down payment for a house, but have the Zillow app. And they relax at the end of the night by searching for houses.
My wife.
But all that attention is they're just using that data to figure out where the next boomtown is going to be, is what you're saying.
That's right. Yep. And how much to charge there. Because what you're doing essentially is you're allowing, when you're doing all that searching in the area, what it says is that, let's say like this area, Columbus. Okay, a lot of people are looking around over there. So how's about we'll get a bunch of investors. We'll will contact our investors because, you know, they're all owned by a couple of groups. So that group sells that information. They say, okay, now let's buy up this area, start buying up all the property, start putting some 5/1s that have like an axe throwing, you know, bar in the bottom of it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like a dominoes and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, let's make it where they got like those Christmas lights going across the fucking street. Like that's what they're gonna do.
That is fucking. I am like.
Makes sense.
My wife spends all night on Zillow too. She's making rent more expensive for everybody on Zillow. You know, looking downtown. We get to move in 2 years. She's like, I gotta fucking look at these apartments, baby.
She shoot herself in the foot.
I know she is. That's bullshit. And everything she wants is like, I don't know. Actually, what's funny, Bobby, is we have mixed use developments here where they'll have like a Chipotle in the lobby sort of thing, like on the bottom floor. And part of when they're trying to lease them at the beginning to fill the place up, I saw this on Ohio State campus. It said free Starbucks and Chipotle. Like, I think it was like free weekly Starbucks and Chipotle because your fucking lobby is a Starbucks and a Chipotle. And like, it's so weird that there are buildings where it's just like, hey, there's a Wendy's downstairs so you get a junior bacon cheeseburger once a week.
Yeah. Go grab one. Get a Crunchwrap Supreme.
That's legit. That's how it is.
Somewhere
that's how my building is. We have a Domino's and a clinic down in the downstairs or whatever, and we have a safe. There's like another building just like it across the street, and they have a grocery store beneath theirs. So it just makes it where our building, like the building that I work for, because I'm the assistant manager, it just like stays. We stay occupied at least like 95%. Everyone wants to be right there.
I mean, if you told me when I was 10 that like I could get an apartment with a McDonald's in the lobby area, I would have said that's exactly where I'm living. My plan is to live where the McDonald's is. Like a Domino's pizza, forget about it. That's a dream to me. I love Domino's pizza. I don't eat it for people saying, "Oh, you're gross." I haven't had Domino's in several years, but every time I have it, I'm like, "Damn, Domino's has it, man. They know how to make a pizza." So,
yeah, okay, let me just say this: the hardest. I can't tell what's more difficult, right? I don't know what's worse. I can't tell what's worse. Is this shitty ass, like, you know, this management company I work for, which I absolutely like hate, but I just need to learn a little bit more before I move on. Or if it's the residents that are, you know, like 60% of the residents in the building that have never lived on their own, that work in tech, it's their very first job. They make $140,000 a year, and they think that like I'm their concierge. I still can't decide which one's worse.
Actually, there's an apartment complex here, not an apartment complex, it's condos, but it's in a big building. Always dreamed about living in a building. And as a kid, I didn't want a yard. I always wanted to live in a building. They said on the thing that they had concierge, and I was like, I have to live in that place because having concierge like right there. Oh, I can't think of anything cooler than that. That would be like the greatest thing to me. And they also said they had continental breakfast, which I never eat continental breakfast at a hotel, but for some reason that was a huge selling point for me when we were thinking about moving there. I'm like, dude, they got continental breakfast, so that's one whole meal we don't even have to buy anymore.
Yeah, taken care of. That's on the rent. We pay for that on the first.
Yeah. Well, Bobby, it's good to hear from you.
I'm sure if we charge extra $1,000, we'd do that. Thank you all so much.
Have a great night, Bobby.
You too. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Okay, bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
Yeah, my place has been trying to get me to re-sign, and I'm like real salty about it because they stayed up in that office all day with like the fresh cookies for like whenever you show up for the first time to sign or whatever. But other than that, they just put fucking pieces of paper on my door with highlighter on them in like a really aggressive fashion.
Yeah.
Like nobody called me on the phone and was like, hey, we like that you've been paying on time every single month and want to talk to you about re-signing. They just send me like, if you do not re-sign by February 25th, your rent will increase $400. You will go month to month. And it's just basically, it sounds like a big deadline. It sounds like a threat. I fucking hate it. It makes me want to leave. I'm like, what are you doing down there? Why don't you come down here and knock on my fucking door? I would sign this thing right then. Just bring the paperwork to my fucking house. It's probably not street fight, but I'm fine with that. That's who I am these days. It's just like, why the fuck is this person sitting down there in that office if you're just going to send me automated pieces of paper once a month on my fucking door and threaten me to resign?
Yeah, I mean, they're really there, I think, for new residents to pull in, but that's not any help for you. They should be taking care of you too, but they're like, we already got him.
Right, exactly. We already scammed this motherfucker. He's stuck.
Yeah, we already got him, so we don't have to worry about that. We'll just be aggressive to him, I think a lot of times places where the rents may be more reasonable also assume that a lot of their residents are like younger, and you can really like get a lot out of young people if you're aggressive with them,
Yeah,
like
that's true. They don't know no better.
Yeah, they always, I mean, we've talked about it before, but the first notice to vacate the premises, you're packing up because you're like, what the hell? I got to leave. Somebody that's an old broke head has to tell you, like, no, that takes like 30 days or 90 days to evict somebody.
Wait until the sheriff, or you got to go to court or something. Like, don't just voluntarily do it. Make them move you.
I got a fucking one time I moved into this apartment. I lived there for, I don't know, 3 months, I think, or 4 months maybe at the time. And the rental office like fills out a paper thing and sticks it to my door. And it said, hey, we didn't set up the electric in your name or something like that. Some oversight happened. And we weren't getting any electric bills, so we weren't paying any electric bills.
Makes sense.
Then they had something happened where they were supposed to set it up for us. We got our first bill like 6 months in, and it was $900.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get them to cut us a break on it at all because they were like, well, I mean, you should have asked where your electric bill is. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not going looking for bills. It just freaked me out. But it really, I mean, the electric company, obviously, we talked about this recently. They sort of have to work with you. So they ended up working with us doing like a budget, you do the thing, but it was super expensive for like 9 months. But I just remember the rental office telling us that they're going to send you a bill to get all that money back. And it's like, fuck, man. I think if you don't get a bill in the goddamn mailbox, then they can't charge you for it. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a controversial statement. Well, that is the show.
It is, indeed.
Hey,
we took the calls.
Let me solicit something real quick. So the latest show we're doing on the Patreon is called I'm Sorry, and we are going to be listening and talking about different things that people have had to publicly apologize for. If you know of any good public apologies, please get a hold of me and send them to me, because I would love to cover some more off the beaten path weird ones than just what's in my head.
For what? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
So sorry.
Yeah, it's a hell of a fun show, though. So, all right, we'll see you Wednesday.
We will. Peace.
All right, guys, I'm exiting.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.